morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we finally get to look at Pikachu V-Union. I have wanted to look at Pikachu V-Union, well, ever since they showed us that there was a Pikachu V-Union coming. Remember, we are getting a Pikachu V-Union box. And in the Pikachu V-Union box, you get Pikachu V-Union. And for what it's worth, you get a jumbo version of Pikachu V-Union, which is awesome because the artwork's amazing. We'll get there in a second. But we didn't know what Pikachu V-Union did. We didn't have a look. We had a bunch of backward cards. It was one of those, we'll figure it out later. Well, ladies and gentlemen, later is now. We do have a good look at Pikachu V-Union, and we have a translation from the lovely Antoine Boulet. Now, two things that need to be pointed out before we get going here. Firstly, is it going to be tournament legal? Yes. Because remember with Celebrations, we got all those weird things like, like Dragapult Prime, which is a Prime with a new Pokemon. That's weird. But then we've got actual new cards like this, which is a V-Union. And there is a rule with Celebrations, and the rule is extremely simple. If it has a regulation mark, it will be legal for tournament play. If it doesn't have a regulation mark, it won't be legal for tournament play. This does, so it will be. What is super interesting for me, Japan has a 28 card main set for Celebrations, and these are cards 25, 26, 27, and 28. These are the last four cards of the main set of, well, what is Celebrations over in Japan. But this is coming as a promo over here. Now, we know we've got a 45 card set. Is this in the 45 card set, and you can also get it as a promo? I would imagine not. Because if it was also in the main set, why would anyone buy the V-Union box other than, I suppose, for the Jumbo, which is amazing and has wonderful artwork? But that's really confusing, because if these four cards are in Japan's 28-card set, but they're not in our 45-card set, then that makes them even more different, the sets, than we thought they were the other day. We need some answers here. But for now, let's take a look at Pikachu V-Union. Now, you'll notice there are 25 different Pikachu here, and they are drawn by 25 different artists. So Pikachu V-Union, is it any good? Well, we got 300 HP, which is low for a V-Union. Remember, they give up free prizes, and remember that each of them counts as Pikachu V-Union. So you can only play 4 Pikachu V-Union in a deck, i.e. one of each of the 4 corners. And remember that you play them when all 4 parts are in your discard. You can then play it to the bench. As long as you haven't already played Pikachu V-Union to the bench this game, you can only do each V-Union once. There we go. So it's not that good in terms of HP, which is a bit sad. And it's weak to fighting. And remember, nowadays, anything that's weak to fighting, you do have to remember that Galarian Zapdos V is going to be a pretty gosh darn good counter. But the good news is, it is a V-Union, so we've got 4 attacks, which is actually on the lower end. Greninja V-Union, remember, has got 7 attack/abilities. So, first of all, we've got exactly the one we would expect. For 1 colourless energy, you attach up to 2 lightning energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. Well, that makes perfect sense. It's exactly what we saw on the other 3 V-Union, although obviously they were for their specific types, like Greninja was 2 water energy from your discard pile. So this all makes perfect sense, and it looks like this is a standard V-Union attack, which comes on all the V-Union. And essentially, the way I feel about this hasn't changed, and that is, you're using your attack to attach energy, but you're then sitting in the active just kind of waiting to take a hit. That's not a great thing, ladies and gentlemen. That's not a huge advantage. You have been warned. For 1 lightning, 1 colourless energy, you do 120 damage, flip a coin, if heads paralysis. And we've seen the flip a coin if heads paralysis attack a billion times in the past, but the difference here is you're doing a decent amount of damage, 120 is really good, and it only takes 2 energy. So, for a flip a coin if heads paralysis attack, this is decent damage for a decent energy cost. And of course, do remember, as always, we've got Glimwood Tangle still in the format, and that is going to survive the rotation. So that means that if you don't flip a heads, you can reflip, and essentially 3 out of every 4 turns you should hit the heads. Yes, Switch is a very prevalent card around at the moment, and that means an awful lot of people will have a Switch ready to switch out. I'm sorry, but this is going to be paralysis more often than not. And that's really good, because 120 is a super relevant number, because the vast majority of Pokemon V have 220 or less HP. There are a few ridiculous ones like Wailord, but then again, Wailord's a water Pokemon in the Sword and Shield era, which means it is weak to Lightning, which means you'll get a 2-hit KO rather easily anyway. I think you'll still be like 10 damage short of a Steelix, but come on, we've got ways to do 10 damage. And what that basically means is that you're in this great position whereby you can essentially 2-hit KO Pokemon V with paralysis. So fine, 120 you're not getting much of a KO on much, and to be honest with you, we've talked about 120, 130 before. There's plenty of Pokemon with 130 HP you'll be just shy of KOing here. But against Pokemon V, you're getting a 2-hit KO with well, it's not almost guaranteed paralysis. I was going to say almost guaranteed paralysis, that's an exaggeration. But very likely paralysis. I kind of like this. I think this is a pretty gosh darn good attack. But remember, it's a V-Union, we ain't done yet. For 2 lightning, 1 colorless energy, you do 150 damage, and your opponent cannot play item cards from their hand during their next turn. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely yes. This is the highlight of Pikachu V-Union. This is the reason why Pikachu V-Union could be a genuine, legitimate, viable card. And I know that V-Union cards are awkward. I know you can only play 1 of each of the 4 corners. I know that if any of the 4 corners is prized, you actually cannot play the card until you fetch it out of your prizes. I am aware of all of this, and I don't particularly care, because frankly, ladies and gentlemen, this is a really good attack. 150 damage, and you're blocking item cards. Again, you're 1-hit KOing the majority of single prize Pokemon, 2-hit KOing any Pokemon V, 1-hit KOing if they're weak. And against the Maxes, you will be just a little bit away from a 2-hit KO. But all you need here is a Vitality Band, and then you will be 2-hit KOing most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. You can always start playing around with stuff like Galarian, Zigzagoon, and Scoop Up Net. Remember, they're giving up free prizes when you KO them. It's worth going to a little bit of extra effort. But they're not allowed to play item cards in the meantime. And sure, they can play supporter cards like Professor's Research, and they can play stadium cards and all kinds of stuff like that, but they can't play a quick ball. So they can play a Professor's Research and hope to find their basic, but they've got to find the basic. If they find a quick ball, they can't have it. And that's kind of the point here. Item cards really help. And an awful lot of people rely on them. Again, this is something you can test when you're playing a game. Next time you're playing a game of Pokemon, just pretend you're item locked for a turn or 2, and look at your hand and see what the difference would be. Now, as for the energy cost here, I'm not even a little bit worried. Remember that Flaffy is coming out. It's actually already out in Japan. And remember that Flaffy is a reprint of Electric. So you've got that Dynamo to which will allow you to accelerate energy. So you'll be absolutely fine. There are other ways to do it, but Flaffy seems like the best. So frankly, this for me is a reason to play Pikachu V-Union. Being able to get 2-hit KOs while item locking, and I've said a million times on this channel, if you can't get a 1-hit KO, get a 2-hit KO with Disruption. The thing is, even when you take the KO, your opponent is still item locked. So you're going to take a KO, take a couple of prizes, and then it's their turn, but they're still item locked, and they've got to try and regroup and knock out Pikachu V-Union without using any item cards. I love this. Don't get me wrong. This is a phenomenal card because it's got 25 Pikachu drawn by 25 different artists. It is a beautiful card. I love it. And just one more time, I am so delighted we are getting a jumbo version of this card in the V-Union box, because it means we can have that artwork in a nice big format that we can sit and enjoy. I'm delighted. But this is not just some gimmicky 25th anniversary card. The 120 plus potential paralysis is alright, but 150 damage with item lock is phenomenal. It's a genuinely great attack. Now, for free energy, you do 250. And again, I don't mind this. This is fine. You will get a one-hit KO on basically any Pokemon V, because here even things like Steelix will be going down. So it's really good if you just want to get that KO. If you need a KO right now, this is good. Most of the time, I still want to be using the item lock attack, if I'm honest with you. But it is nice to have the option for a big 250 if we so wish. I love it, ladies and gentlemen. I absolutely love it. So yeah, I'm giving this 5 Wassies. Like, I genuinely think this is a really good card. When I saw Pikachu V-Union, I expected it to be a cool, pretty card that everybody wanted in their collection, because come on, who does not want this card in their collection? But I didn't think it would actually be good. Yeah, I was wrong, ladies and gentlemen. This is good. As a side note, outside of Japan, you can just buy the V-Union box and you're good. Over in Japan, you actually have to pull all 4 corners out of packs. So that is going to be a little bit more awkward. But we can worry about that another day. For now, I want to know what you think about Pikachu V-Union. I'm hyped. I would like to know how hyped you are. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.